welcome to Smells Like Popcorn, where I start the discussion.
Want to know some more fun facts?
Isn't it awesome to see some of your favorite content creators and favorite people, honestly, that you follow here on this app, be a part of this amazing community called the Nerd Initiative?
Welcome to a terrifyingly fun edition of Fandoms. Brought to you by the Nerd Initiative Network. Here are your horrifying hosts, Tony and Michael.
Welcome. Well, where did Michael go again? Michael's disappeared. Michael has worked very hard to be with us this evening, unfortunately, it doesn't want him to be seen. I don't know what it is, but it's rather funny to myself. Let me see what we can do here. Mike, hold on. Let's see if we can do this. Let's refresh. Okay, and nothing. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody can see me because I'm here and Michael is here. Michael, say hello. Hold on, Mike. You're not even connecting. Hold on a second, Michael. It's not even like the spirit of Michael. What's going on? Oh, this is so funny. It was working just a minute ago. Ah, this is so funny. Michael, I hate to do this to you, but I want you to leave, and I'm going to try to get you back in. Well, welcome everybody to Fandoms episode 5. We dressed up for our spooky season edition. I am Tony, Mr. Marvelite on everything on social media, and with me as always is Michael. Whether he's disembodied or not, he is physically here, but for whatever reason, the internet hates him at the moment, and so we're trying to get him back up and running. So he's left, and we're gonna try to bring him back now. From beyond, Michael, can you hear me? Michael, hello.
Hear you? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you
are. Man. First of all, I still can't see anything, so I don't even know if I'm here. This is the worst.
Well, you don't have to worry. I can see you, regardless of whether you can or not. So,
how do they fight crime like this? It doesn't work.
Well, understand, Peter Parker. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. Who's that?
Sorry,
Spider-Man has heightened senses, and so that's how it crumbles for him. But yeah, welcome to the Fandoms before spooky season. I am Tony. This is Michael. And as always, we are miserable in costume. It is hot and blinding. So I'm going to ask you, Spider-Man, take that mask off.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm registering. I'm done. Okay. I'm registering. Sorry.
All right.
I've joined Team Iron Man. It's over.
Oh goodness. Let's not even talk about that comic book storyline. So first of all, welcome everybody. Hope you're having a great spooky season. We're talking about Halloween right around the corner. It's going to be on Monday. And so for all of you dressing up like ghouls and of course, gasp, it's Michael. Now it's scary. We thought we just would be fun and dress up and make ourselves miserable to enjoy it. I've got something bubbling in behind. And so definitely we're glad you guys are here. And then a shout out to all of you who are about to be celebrating the spooky season. I also have a real quick special shout out to one scallywag, Herbicito, whose birthday is on November 1st. So happy birthday in advance. But yeah, how are you doing, Michael?
Doing better now. The mask is off.
I know. You know what? I'm gonna wait to see how long this lasts. Because let's face it, like I've got nourishment here. I feel like Morbius right now. But like I said, if you're gonna be toxic free and you're gonna create without fear, you need to be positive. So We'll probably be drinking from this. Yes, it's bad jokes. Bad jokes is all you get.
All day long, or all night long.
But it is good. It is pretty good. We'll put some of that in here.
I do feel better. This is good. It took me a while to get out of it.
Yes. All right. Make it a little. Let's see here. Add a little spice. So let's go ahead. Well, we're gonna be talking about a bunch of things here. Listen, I don't care. It's all about the theatrics here.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so we are definitely excited about the show. So let's go ahead and get started and get through this because it will probably be a short show because I'm already overheating, and so this might not keep me sustained for very long.
Wait, are you saying do you have palladium poisoning? The filtration system isn't working anymore?
Well, I don't have an arc reactor on. Listen, this show goes down the road when all the rum is gone. So, you know, or the blood. I don't drink, so we'll go with that.
You're like a mixture between like Morbius and like Jack Sparrow. It's like the blood. You got the rum.
This is Jack after he got the cursed doubloon. That's all it is. No, but if I will make this recommendation. You got to be very careful about it. But if you want to like spice up your holiday drinks, go find some dry ice and you put a small amount in to any of your beverages. Just remember, you don't want to drink the dry ice because it can cause frostbite. But it will actually carbonate your beverages for you, and it's just fun when you do it. This is what a lot of places like the Sugar Factory do to make their drinks look all fancy.
Interesting.
Yes. Okay, so we've got a jam-packed show. We're going to go ahead and try to go through as much of our information as possible. We've got some new correspondence. We've got some. We had some of our team do double duty, talking about different things. And so we're going to go ahead and first talk about the wildest indie comic discussion I think we've had. It's the most controversial we'll have. Please, viewer discretion is advised. Take it away, Dan.
I'm Diesel Dan, and I want to talk to you about My Little Pony. Specifically, the comic My Little Pony #7 from IDW. I was scrolling through Previews World and this cover caught my eye. This cover is by Justa Suta. Hopefully I'm saying the name correctly. This image of Discord sitting amongst these little bunnies, looking very sad and depressed, just connected with me. So naturally, I read the synopsis. Ever the do-gooder, Hitch finds himself at the beck and call of the whole town as they prepare for a huge celebration. While he already has his own duties, Hitch finds himself a helpless yes man, getting run down by trying to help everyone else before himself. He'll have to learn that it's okay to say no sometimes. Like, tell me that did not just resonate with you in some kind of way. Who is this book for? Is it for kids? Is it for adults? Is it for 33-year-old men that have a t-shirt of My Little Ponies and definitely has watched a lot of My Little Ponies with his daughter? Whatever the case, I definitely pre-ordered it. FOC has already passed up on it, so contact your LCS and see if you can get a copy. I'm Diesel Dan Comics. I hope you liked what I shared. Be sure to follow me in all the places. Okay, bye.
And I'm on! Okay. So this is going to be the wonky episode. Just be prepared. I don't know what happened. We may be redoing a whole bunch of stuff. But, yeah, so I loved in the chat. We heard Bronies Ignite. So this is definitely cool. What I think we're going to probably have to do is knock out all of our stuff and then just talk at the end. Because otherwise, I think we're going to be constantly going back and forth. So I want you guys, we're going to go through all of the segments very quickly. And There is no alcohol in the goblet. In fact, there's not much of the dry ice. Oh, I'm spilling on myself. It's nice and bubbly now, though. I will say that. So we are going to go ahead and run all of the segments. Once the segments are done, we will come back and then we will discuss about some things that have been going on this season. We're going to let the guys take it away now. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Derek from Paperweight Entertainment. On October 14th, Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power dropped its season finale for Season 1. I really enjoyed this finale. I enjoyed the show overall. The questions that were built up throughout the season were so effortlessly answered and interwoven into the story so that it wasn't exposition heavy. It was really well done. Those questions for me included throughout the entire season: who is the stranger? Is he Gandalf? Is he Sauron? Is he one of the blue wizards? Was he somebody completely new? Who is Sauron? When's he going to come into the show? How is he going to connect the elves with the rings? How's he going to convince them to take them? And also, this new character of Halbrand, what's his deal? What's really going on with him? All of those answers were given in this one episode. With just a couple of lines of dialogue, we found out who the stranger was. We got an excellent reveal of who Sauron was the entire time. A really smart way of him getting to get the elves to take the rings and to even help him craft them. And we found out what the deal was with Halbrand all at once. And on top of that, we got an excellent scene using dialogue from Lord of the Rings showing Galadriel's temptation. I truly enjoyed this season overall. Also, it set up some things that will be going forward in Season 2. For instance, political intrigue in Numenor. That's not going away anytime soon. With the king passing away at the end and the queen coming back blind, there's going to be a lot going on in Numenor going forward. Also, where is Sauron going to go next? Are we going to get the dwarves' rings? Are we going to get the 9 that he made for the humans? Where are we going to go with the story? I'm really excited for this show moving forward. Filming just began on Season 2, and unfortunately, because it just began, we're not going to see Season 2 until the earliest 2024. But here's hoping that we get it early on, and we don't have to wait too much longer. But, with all that being said, what did you guys think of Season 1?
Man, what is taking so long? Oh, sorry, you're actually here now. I've been waiting here for so long that I turned into a literal skeleton. Send help. But before I go get you to do that, let's get into my movie picks for the week, because there's a couple good ones that I really don't think you should miss. Let's get started. Brought to us by Henry Selick is Wendell and Wild, which follows a teenager who teams up with 2 mischievous demons in order to leave the underworld and live out their dreams in the real world. With Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele teaming up once again, this is sure to be a fantastic Halloween ride. As demonic possessions rise, schools are reopened by the Catholic Church to teach priests how to perform exorcisms, including a nun who finds herself up against the same demon who once possessed her mother. This looks like a really frightening watch for the weekend. Moving into the holiday season next week are some really fun movies, starting with Weird Al, starring Daniel Radcliffe. The movie acts as a parody of biopics while following the life of Weird Al Yankovic and his peculiar rise to fame. Honestly, I love Daniel Radcliffe and I cannot wait to watch this. Finally, a movie I've been waiting for, Netflix's Enola Holmes 2. This sequel continues the adventures of Enola Holmes, the younger sister of Sherlock, as she takes on her first case as an official detective. I think if you love Sherlock Holmes or anything mystery related, this and the original movie are definitely something you've got to check out. Well, that's it for this week's movie picks. I hope you enjoyed them and make sure that you have a very safe and happy Halloween. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go see a doctor because this back is killing me. Imagine what 1,000 years of waiting will do for your back. Whew.
Hey everyone, it's Donovan Rose, aka The Donovan Rose on all social media, and I really hope that you guys are enjoying this spooky, spectacular Halloween episode of Fandoms. I love to end Halloween by watching a movie that takes place on Halloween, so I wanted to share some of my favorite movies that do just that with you. Whether you like scary movies or comedies, there's something on the list for you. Hocus Pocus. You can't have Halloween without getting a spell put on you by the Sanderson sisters. When teenager Max moves to Salem, Massachusetts, him, his sister Danny, and their new friend Allison accidentally free the evil Sanderson sisters who were hung for witchcraft in the 1600s. The witches must steal the soul of a child by sunrise to remain free, or they will return to their death. Halloween, 1978. The original classic where we first meet Michael Myers, an escaped mental patient who killed his sister 15 years prior. He returns to his hometown to stalk and kill a babysitter and her friends. Fun size. When high school senior Ren, played by Victoria Justice, planned to attend the hottest, scariest, most talked about Halloween party in school, her mom forced her to bang younger brother Albert instead. Bad goes to worse when Ren takes Albert trick-or-treating and he ends up going missing. Ren and her friends go on a series of crazy, wild adventures to try and find Albert before sunrise. Trick or Treat. An anthology movie that links all the individual stories together with a trick-or-treater named Sam who makes sure everyone is following the rules of Halloween. Always give out candy to trick-or-treaters, always wear a costume, never extinguish a flame on a jack-o'-lantern. If Sam catches you breaking any of his rules, he will make sure you can't break them again. Halloween Town. When teenager Marnie Cromwell and her younger siblings follow their grandmother Aggie back home to Halloween Town, they find out that they are a family of powerful witches and may be the only power to stop an evil that is making citizens disappear. Well, there are a lot of other Halloween movies to watch. I think I just heard my doorbell ring, so I better go grab the candy before Sam gets me. Back to you, Tony and Mike.
Hey guys, it's Derek from Paperweight Entertainment. On October 14th, Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power dropped
It's Donovan Rose, the Donovan Rose on social media, and I'm tuning in today to brief you on the newest and hottest video games. No matter what platform you're playing on, there is a new game for you. Modern Warfare 2. This one is a direct sequel to the 2019 reboot of Modern Warfare. You can create your best class and play cross-platform on PlayStation, Xbox, or PC. Marvel Snap. This is a new fast-paced strategic card game where you play at different locations throughout the Marvel Universe, creating decks of your favorite Marvel characters. The more you play, the more cards you unlock, and you can level up characters and create the best and most powerful deck to beat your opponents. Marvel Snap is available on the Google Play and App Stores for mobile phones, as well as Steam for PC players. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. This takes place in a parallel universe than the Mushroom Kingdom that we know and love from Mario, where each character has a doppelganger Rabbid with some sort of power. Mario, Luigi, and Peach and their doppelgangers find out that the world is going to end because of a Luma Rabbid hybrid called Sparks, and they need to save the world. This is available only on Switch, but if you're a Mario fan, you already have a Switch, so go and play it today. Gotham Knights. After the death of Batman, it's up to the Bat family to protect the city of Gotham. You can play as Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Robin. While you protect the city and defend it from criminals and crooked cops, you also are working on Batman's last case. You can play co-op with a friend, but unfortunately it is not cross-platform playable, but you are able to play it on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. This online multiplayer game takes 5 people, 4 Ghostbusters, and 1 ghost. The ghost has to haunt the building before the Ghostbusters can close the portals and catch the ghost. This is a cross-platform playable co-op game for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. These are just a few of the amazing games that have been released recently. Check out these and much more, but I have to give it back to Tony and Michael now.
What's up, Fandoms? It's the greatest season of the year, Halloween. You know why? Movies. And this season, Nerd Initiative put together a top 10 movies to watch for Halloween, and we're going to review them right now. So I had Nerd Initiative team members send me their top 10 favorite Halloween movie list. Family movies, animated movies, horror movies. I crunched the numbers, did the math, all that other nerdy stuff that we love to do, right? And I came up with the top 10 list of Nerd Initiative movies to watch for Halloween. At number 10, we have Poltergeist, the perfect collaboration between a horror specialist, Tobe Hooper, and a spectacle of a director, Steven Spielberg. The thing about those skeletons in that swimming pool scene, they were real human skeletons. The crew thought it would be too expensive and a lot of trouble to just find fake skeletons. A lot of people think this movie is actually cursed because of this, with the untimely passing of some of the cast members. Coming in at number 9, Ghostbusters, one of the most iconic movies of all time. You've got ghosts, you've got ghouls, you've got Sumerian gods, you've got kaiju marshmallow men. It's the total package. And those arms ripping out of that chair to grab Dana, that's some scary stuff. Coming in at number 8, it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. The fact that the Peanuts can relate to generation after generation of generation makes this movie special. Coming in at number 7, The Addams Family. One of the most eccentric TV families of the 60s makes its jump to the big screen in 1991 with a stellar cast, and it really endears itself to a new generation of fans. Coming in at number 6, the film that made the slasher genre famous, Halloween. With a $300,000 budget, a handful of pumpkins, and a couple of bags of fake plastic leaves painted red, brown, and yellow, John Carpenter created a classic. And what John Carpenter started in '78 with Halloween, Wes Craven took to the moon in 1996 with number 5, Scream. Scream was a cultural phenomenon at the time that paid homage to all of those slasher films that came before it. Coming in at number 4, a cult classic, The Monster Squad. Most people put it simply, the Goonies versus the Universal Monsters. Now that might be oversimplifying this black comedy, but it's pretty close to home. Coming in at number 3 is probably one of the funniest ghost stories ever told, Beetlejuice. This is the movie that put Tim Burton and Michael Keaton on the map. Coming in at number 2 is another fan favorite cult classic, Trick or Treat. For a film that did not have a theatrical release and almost no press whatsoever, this film really picked up steam when it released on DVD. This horror anthology put to us a new iconic Halloween character, Sam. This horror character shot to stardom quickly, and you can see him on merchandise and artwork along the likes of Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, Pinhead, you name it, he's there with them. To think how popular this movie was before streaming services, that's impressive. And at number 1, I'm not gonna lie to you, I knew going in this was gonna be the one, and it was almost a unanimous pick, Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus was essentially a box office bomb, but with the spread of cable and satellite TV in the early 90s, and with it, the Disney Channel, it blew up to something bigger than we could have ever thought. With so many memorable scenes and funny lines, the Sanderson sisters have become a staple of the Halloween season. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it's watched year-round, at least it is in my house. And that's a wrap on Nerd Initiative's top 10 movies to watch for Halloween. It's a great diverse list of movies that are terrifying and fun to watch. I hope we've given you an idea of something fun to watch for this Halloween. I'm Cell Phone Wallet Keys, and have a happy Halloween.
Okay. Oh, they came back. And the so during the whole like segments, apart from the like throwing Derek in there twice, I was hearing Michael echo the whole time, and we were sure that something bad was going to happen during the. Oh, you're echoing now. I don't know. Hold on, let me see. I might be able to fix it. Of course, if I do, I might break something too, but we'll see. Okay, talk.
What's up, guys? Am I still?
Okay, we're just gonna pretend that nothing's bad's gonna happen. If you start sounding like it's double, we're just gonna say it's part of the role play. You're a possessed Spider-Man. Okay, so I mean, we did the top 10. We did recommended video games, My Little Pony, which I didn't ever think that we would get to the Brony section of fandoms, but like we said, it's all fandoms. I need to figure out where we can put the My Little Pony font.
I just got a text perfect from Erica. I sound amazing.
I think that's just partiality.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
So we've got all of those things going on, which like tons of information. I love the top 10, and if you guys have not seen yet, go check out Mickey's the top 10 countdown he's been doing the last couple days.
Oh yeah.
The did you knows are amazing. You get like a little hint of it in this segment he did, but I kid you not, like some of the stuff, like my favorite thing, and I knew this beforehand, but like Raul Julia was constantly being misnamed by children after the Addams Family, and it was his favorite thing. Like that was his most. I'm sorry, the hair's getting in the way. The children misnamed him. He said it was his favorite role, and he ate up that fact, and just knowing how cool of a man Raul Julia was, it makes you miss him even more, just because he's gone. And I'm trying to fix my hair. Like my hair's all.
Yeah, I think Mickey has been crushing it with. I mean, the knowledge he has from behind the scenes of movies. He's kind of like the Mr. Marvelite version for horror and other kind of cool genre movies. And so like, I just love like the in-depth knowledge he has, and like that series has been just like a blast every time he puts something out. And my favorite one is still the Super Mario Brothers, the movie that not only everyone who watched it hated, but the people that worked on it also hated. And I think part of his did you know was they were all drunk during the entire filming of the movie, which is really hilarious.
Well, it was funny though, because I remember that was right after Jurassic Park came out, and for those of us, because if you remember, Jurassic Park was out in 1993. It was finished production 1992. It was in theaters in 1993. It did not get a home video release, and this was back in the day. Everybody talks about like, oh, Thor: Love and Thunder came out like 3 or 4 months after the movie was in theaters. It used to be, it would take 1.5 to 2 years for movies to be distributed in home video, and like you were wanting, and so people who were super excited about Jurassic Park thought, oh, they're going to have dinosaurs, because they really leaned hard in Yoshi for the Super Mario Brothers. So the marketing, people were going in, and it just, I think it caused more uproar, because the most you got with dinosaurs was the de-evolved Goombas, a little bit of Yoshi, and then a whole lot of like the de-evolved King Koopa at the end, and that was it. And I just remember it was a terrible time to be a video game fan. But speaking of theater releases, I have not been able to see, but Michael, you were able to see Black Adam. That was just released. There has been a lot of discussion. Now, there's a lot of DC news. We can't thank Peter Zaslav for nothing this week. So that's good. So let's just say this. We're Black Adam, it's kind of across the spectrum. My interpretation is, when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson made the comment that this was like a game changer, that this was changing the dynamics, I almost feel like he was meaning it more in the background production side, because he lobbied a lot for certain things. I think he finally kind of like tipped the scale.
The whole Henry Cavill thing,
he tipped the scale when it came to the studio getting too involved and letting these films be themselves. It wasn't necessarily a groundbreaking film, but again, you go ahead and you go there, because I can't really speak from experience of watching it yet.
I mean, look, so that's 2 topics right there that you broached, right? Like, I think in the back end, The Rock is known to be a pretty game-changing producer and kind of, game maker. I'm trying to think of he had Ballers on HBO. He was a producer on that. He's really getting involved, as a lot of actors and actresses are these days, on the back end, and doing a really amazing job. So is it game changing in that sense? Probably. Like, he personally posted, for those who don't know, he posted Henry Cavill announcing he's coming back as Superman. It's pretty known right now. I'm not going to give a spoiler alert. That's ridiculous. But he and his other producing team lobbied hard for Cavill to come back as Superman. So that, again, from that perspective, he's making moves and making waves. And Black Adam is doing very well in theaters. So that is another angle. As far as the movie goes, and I think, look, I want to be fair. It's a fun movie. I gave it a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. There's a lot of action. The Rock's great in it. The Rock is great. The storyline is kind of clunky, kind of wonky. There's a lot of things that they really could have streamlined it. I think that the big question was they didn't need the Justice Society in there, really. They could have made it more about his story. His story is an actual good story. There's a kind of a twist at the end that you didn't see coming. He plays the role fantastic. The action he does is really great as well. But as well as, I can say this, Henry Cavill's part in it. We know that he's, at this point, if you don't know this, like you've been living on the rock, the post-credit scene.
No pun intended, right?
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. I wasn't on purpose. That also felt forced in too, because the Superman really kind of doesn't fit into this cameo. So it's really interesting. The storyline seems a little weird, but The Rock is great, and so people don't attack me. Don't come at me, bro. But I do think like DC fans are DC fans. I'm a DC fan as well. Like I think the Dark Knight trilogy is one of my favorite. I actually was also one of the rare people that liked Man of Steel. I'm happy they're making a second one. I liked it a lot. I gave it an 8 out of 10 if I had to rank it. I thought it was a darker version of the Superman origin story, and I really liked it. So I think it's a good movie. I think they've kind of lost their way. Hopefully this will lead to something better. Again, The Rock was great. I don't know who exactly. I got to look up who the writers were, but it was a little clunky. There's a lot going on. And this is something that is painful to say. Pierce Brosnan was great too. This is something that's painful to say. Every time she's in a DC movie, Viola Davis is one of the worst characters. She's Amanda Waller. She was in Suicide Squad, which is so awful. She was in, the follow-up too. She really doesn't for such an acclaimed actress who is a game-changing actress. The writing they give her and the kind of the scene setting they give her is not adequate to her level of being this acclaimed, iconic actress.
Do we know at all if she has ever been on record about how she feels about the role that she's doing in the DCU?
I think, you know what? I think it's not even in her mindset. It's a job. And I think she goes in and does her job.
You hear about those people who do the series, people who are in it for just the money. It was kind of like Sean Connery with some stuff and everything, where they kind of just phone it in. It's just that they're a name, they're there. I expect a lot from Viola Davis when you think about her.
She won the Oscar with Denzel for what's the name of the movie? She is a force in that movie. I got to look it up now, but she is an absolute she dominates that movie. She makes Denzel look like a high school, thespian. Denzel's Denzel.
Fences.
But if you see her, whenever she comes in as Waller, it's just kind of very clunky, stereotypical. This, really, and not stereotypical of that, stereotypical of Waller. This, aggressive, And I think if they gave her better writing and a better character, she always just stands out to me as someone who's just when she comes off screen, I'm like, it was such a waste. It's just such a waste of talent. So
yeah,
I think they're heading in the right direction. I enjoyed the movie. It was a little much. I know King Von Schweetz, his post afterwards, and some others where it's just
yeah.
I think yeah.
So I think here's the thing, and this is from somebody who I have been very cautiously pessimistic, I guess you could say, and it's not because of not liking DC. I love DC. The death of Superman was what got me into comics, what got me into superheroes, and then I kind of moved over into. I really can't take myself seriously when I see myself in the camera, the way I'm dressed up. So if you see me look down, it's because I'm trying to think without looking at this goofy guy. So Death of Superman, got into X-Men. Smallville got me kind of back into the fandoms after going through high school and just kind of everything going in the back burner. Man of Steel, I loved Man of Steel. I thought it was a great film. There were things that I had issues on. I don't think anybody ever has a perfect story when it comes to with any of these superhero films. Even Marvel, it's very rare when you get a perfect story. I think there have been a few just real perfect stories. Infinity War, Black Panther, Shang-Chi, like those are like perfect stories. Iron Man, like things that just kind of like they resonated very well, and like they some things have not aged well in them, but if you look back at them, they make perfect sense. And the thing with like DC, with the issues with Ezra Miller and the Flash movie, the way that Ray Fisher was treated with Justice League, knowing why we even had to have a Snyder cut in the first place because of Joss Whedon. I'm sorry, I had to say his name. But honestly, it's sad because DC never needed to be like Marvel. DC just needed to be DC.
Yeah.
And I think what the fans and what the studio has to realize, and I think with Safran and James Gunn, on the leading the helm of DC Studios moving forward, they're gonna do less trying to compete, because I feel like the desire to compete is not what needs to happen. DC is the professional when it comes to DC properties. Just do DC well. The Marvel universe and the DC universe are vastly different. In my mindset, I have always looked at it as like looking at Marvel as ported into the world that we live in today. DC, I've always thought of with Gotham and the giant metropolis and Star City and all this stuff, has always been more of like, I've always looked at it as like a fantasy type, realm, because it's Earth, but it's a completely different Earth. There's different places and everything else, and so for me, that was what
it's more noir. It's more noir. It's
exactly.
More,
it is its own style, and there has not been, and this is what Marvel struggled with all through, the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
When they were trying to get movies done, was nobody was taking the property seriously. They were just trying to get out there for the money. And I feel like DC is now in a place where you have people who honestly care. Say what you will about James Gunn. If you don't like the humor in his stuff, whatever, James Gunn knows how to write an intricately written story that has continuity, that is consistent, that can leave Easter eggs that will make you wondering for years. People are still searching for Easter eggs in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And you have Safran, who has been producing like so many of these things. You put them together, it allows James to be creative. It allows Safran to do his thing and lead where he is. And you'll probably see that more often, where James is still wanting to be creative, because someone even on Twitter said, is this the end of James Gunn directed and written movies? And he goes, no one ever said that. And so James Gunn has expelled that. And I think that's the reason why they even have it being co-CEO, because James Gunn wanted to still be creative. So you've got this team that's going to work together. And as long as Zaslav and the studio executives keep away from it and let them do their thing, like Kevin Feige's allowed to do his thing, they'll be fine. But do they ever have to compete? Thing. No. Kevin wanted DC to succeed, because at some point, they'd love to do DC versus Marvel, and I think it's more likely now than ever. And I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. I'll say this and shut up.
Well, no. Go ahead, finish.
But it's like, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, first of all, we have to right here, right now. Let's dispel the whole thing. I want to dispel the thing about the competition situation. And we were talking about this in a group chat earlier. And it was very constructive, very well balanced conversation. But I will say this: like, look, there's always inherent competition in the world of anything, movies, TV, whatever. But you do not want, if you are DC or if you are Marvel, I'm not going to stutter here. You do not want the other one to do poorly. If the other one does poorly or something bad happens, then the predictions from guys like Steven Spielberg and other people years ago about, superheroes going the way of the Western, that's where it goes. You want your competition to succeed. You just want to do a little bit better or do just as well or make your money, make your margin. You do not want your competition to do poorly. I think if you ask Kevin Feige and you ask him, not in a public setting where he's going to give a generic answer or whatever, and like a real intimate setting where there's no responsibility. He's going to say, no, we want DC to do well. And I guarantee you, if there was a conversation between Kevin and between James Gunn, he told James, go crush it. Like, he didn't say like, oh, like there really isn't this like heated competition or whatever. I think the fans do that more than anything else. Yeah. And that's what stinks about sometimes these fandoms, is because like people immediately make it a competition, and oh, the announcement is going to crush Marvel, or oh, this show that Marvel came out is great, and DC, it should be a whole thing where it's like, oh, I'm glad this is doing well. Like, I never thought about Marvel doing poorly in 2008 when The Dark Knight came out, and it was, to me, it was the greatest movie I'd seen at that point, like about superheroes, like not about, but like involving superheroes. Like, I think you want everything to do well. It's an industry. It's not a team sport. There is a genre of movies. If Boom Studios ends up making movies, you want to do well. If Image does the same thing. If like anyone, you want them to do well. So this whole competition and people being toxic and saying like, like, I think that is a big part of the issue and big part of why we're here where we are right now. And so I think, again, taking it back to the original thought process, I think things are heading in the right direction. Gunn's going to be fantastic. And to what you said, and I want to double down on that, if you think about some of the most heartfelt movies, and the ones that gets me all the time is Guardians Volume 2 at the end with Peter and
Yondu.
Yondu. Like, he knows how to do it. And the same thing can be said for Peacemaker. As amazing and as layered and amazing as that show was, and tackling some incredible tough topics of racism and all these different things within that. I mean, you imagine with John Cena and the role he did, that comes from James Gunn. I mean, John Cena is a fantastic actor, but James Gunn guided that ship, and I thought that show was amazing. So again, humor or not, you are going to get a lot of world building, character building, which is what they need. I will say this, and then I will shut up. I think what worked well for, I was going to say Shazam, but it's not, Black Adam, was, again, The Rock's character building that he brought to the table. And when you see it, you'll understand what I mean. There's a really great arc in there. And I just kind of wish it was more like the Wonder Woman. It could have been. And that's what makes it a shame. I think that and I think Batman Dawn of Justice was another one that could have been really good if they had made a bunch of major tweaks. I think Black Adam could have been the game changer they wanted it to be if they had just focused on The Rock and his journey and kept out like the big flashy, you want to have the fight scenes and stuff that can still be in there, but focus it on his building and his arc and to where he ends up, and he ends up in a much better place than when he started. And you learn about the history and everything, and I think that part's fantastic. So you're going to get a lot of that from James, 100%. So it's going to be great.
No, absolutely. I think that's the thing. Like, I think this is also great for the industry, because in people that are working in, let's say, Marvel properties, that, let's say, they don't get pulled on for the next movie, or the style that they work on doesn't work, they have the ability to go over to the next studio and make movies with them. And you're probably going to see, with the technical aspect, with the CGI, with the crew talent, that they're going to be able to switch between the studios very much like the writers and the artists do with the comic books already. And I think people forget about that. You mentioned people like Jim Lee or George, or was it George Perez,
Dan Jurgens,
all these individuals, Todd McFarlane. They go from
Mark Silvestri. Mark Silvestri's the head of DC now, right? Or
and so
one of the heads.
They're always. I mean, Bendis has always been known for a lot of Marvel things, sometimes for good reasons and some for bad reasons. But he's no longer Marvel. He's over at DC, and probably at some point he'll come back to Marvel. And we'll be terrified for it. But you have all of these different things that these people can go back and forth and do. And that's the essence of it. It was funny because it was the early 90s when DC finally surpassed Marvel in their comic sales. And it was mainly because Marvel was being mismanaged, and Marvel almost ceased to exist.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody over at Marvel is looking at DC like, oh, these punks are never going to do it. I really feel like Marvel has this mindset of like, we almost died. We were almost gone. Like, it could happen anytime. We're successful now.
Well, the tables can turn at any
Exactly.
point in time, and I think what's happening over with Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our buddy Bumpkins TV did a fantastic video today where he talked about it wasn't the one about competition. He talked about the phases and how much money they make through the phases. And phase 3 obviously is the jackpot. You know, you have Infinity War and you have Endgame, and so obviously
it was almost a guaranteed $1 billion every movie.
Yeah, but he put it into a spreadsheet. Like the average money, it's exceptionally. If you haven't checked it out, Bumpkins TV on TikTok, he put everything into a spreadsheet: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 4. So take out phase 3 stands out. Take that out though. Phase 4 is on par with phase 1 and phase 2. Now again, phase 1 was the beginning, but Marvel caught fire pretty early. Like after Iron Man, everyone was on board. So I think there's some people are saying like Marvel's changing, and I want to say at the same time that's 100% on purpose.
Yes.
Marvel is hedging their bets for the future in a positive way. Like one, they're hedging their bets business-wise, right? Like we have all these different things that are happening as landscape changes. So Disney Plus, I was watching today the Jedi Tales on the Disney Plus within the Star Wars section, and those are the 20-minute animated shorts. Way better than I Am Groot. The only thing I hated, it just was nothing. But these really great animated shorts that tell gaps in between the stories of the movies and the shows, and that's made specifically for this platform that they're leaning into. Same thing with She-Hulk. Same thing with the these are all leaning into Disney Plus, and that is what they're doing. So they're creating content for different markets for different people, but they're also creating a buffet for people, and this is on purpose. Where I think some people are not going to like She-Hulk or Miss Marvel. Dude, wait for the next thing. Wait till next. Wait till in 2 weeks when Black Panther comes out, and I'm sure you're gonna like all the people that were upset about this show or that show are going to be like, I'm back on, like it's great, and just skip those shows then, like and don't go see the Marvels. Go see Black Panther, and go see people went a Love and Thunder too, but I thought that was great. But like you're going to have to be able to pick and choose. It's not going to be everybody one size fits all anymore, and that is a good thing, because otherwise, if things do take a turn for the worse, and let's go back really quick, and then again, then I'm my trademark line, then I'll shut up. Let's go back to a year that I thought was going to be the greatest year. I wrote a column about this for ABC back in the day. I think it was 2016. I thought it was going to be the greatest superhero year, and that was whatever the year that Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad came out.
Batman v Superman.
DC took a bad turn that year. We thought they were going up. It was Man of Steel, and I thought that was a solid thing. And then once they announced the Batman, everyone was so excited for Batman v Superman. Wonder Woman was in Batman v Superman. Wonder Woman was going to come out afterwards, and then we had the Suicide Squad, not one or the other, the Suicide Squad or Suicide, whatever. It was David Ayer's Suicide Squad, and that movie was awful. And I'm not going to mince words on that one. That was a terrible movie. And
it's funny because I actually kind of liked it.
Okay, that's fair.
But I liked the extended cut because I loved, as much as I don't like Jared Leto's Joker. If you do watch the extended cuts, I will say the chemistry between Harley Quinn and Joker in those scenes where basically he's creating her into being Harley Quinn. I liked those. I liked those moments, and I wish if we would have gotten him, we would have gotten more of that than this weird gangster Joker. But that's okay. That was his vision. It didn't, wasn't my cup of tea. But the movie was ultimately not the best. It was the faceless monsters that you face, and and the light in the sky, and the world's going to end. Why is the world so? The one thing I will say about that, and again, it's fair. Like as always, the big thing I will say and I will stress is like for people to like things that I don't like, it's totally fair, and that is the beauty of art. But the one thing I will say is they had put all their eggs into this basket of this dark arc that was coming. You had Batman. The Batman never got made, and with Ben Affleck because he dropped out and couldn't crack it. And we actually got a really
good movie with Robert Pattinson.
Yep.
I think you have to diversify. I'm talking about portfolios here, but you got to diversify what you're doing. And fans aren't going to like that at first, but I think down the road, they're going to have to pick and choose what they like. And I think Marvel and Kevin Feige, but I also think DC is going to do this as well. And I think, Peacemaker, again, I can't say enough. I loved Peacemaker. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see these diversified portfolios and movies and shows, and you're going to be able to pick and choose, much like a comic universe, what you want to read and touch on. And you can skip everything else, and it's not going to be one size fits all. And people need to get on board with that and understand that, because otherwise you're putting the entire genre at risk, because if everything's put into one arc, like, can you imagine if the Dark Knight trilogy had bombed?
Oh, yeah.
We wouldn't have a Batman movie for I don't know how long. Like, what if the Dark Knight was a terrible movie?
Yeah.
Like, they would have made Dark Knight Rises, made money, but it would have been like Amazing Spider-Man, where Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't do well money-wise and critically-wise, and then Amazing Spider-Man 3 was never made. So I think like people need to understand and be okay with change and things coming out that they're not into, because it'll just add to the fandom growing overall.
Yeah, and listen, my social media presence is Mr. Marvelite, Marvel being the key word. I am super excited for DC, and anybody who cannot be excited for fans to get fan service, to get their fandom, on the big screen, to get more content. Yeah, I'm gonna say it, and I hate being negative, but why would you have to be such a jerk to not want other people to enjoy what they love? And I'm gonna sit there and enjoy with. Listen, I have got all of the DCEU stuff on my Blu-ray shelf. Like, I've got everything except for the Snyder Cut, because I don't need it.
The 6 hour Justice League or 4 hour?
I saw it on HBO Max. It was okay. It wasn't. The CGI was much better than the original, but I'm sorry.
But you know what? All right. So I'm going to play contrarian on that one too. I agree with you on that, and this is where it's fair game, and this is where things can be beautiful as far as Discord and discourse. The movie I thought it was above average. It was way better than the original. But you know what I really did love was the ending nightmare scene, the extended cut that we got of like the
Joker and Batman,
the antimatter Superman Darkseid situation. That was like a 20-minute prologue or whatever it was.
Yep.
And I think, like, again, some people wouldn't even know what that is, but like, again, like, this goes to show, like, certain fans are gonna perk up and say, "Ooh, this is really different and interesting and unique." Much like She-Hulk, much like Miss Marvel we saw, and much like, and then there's different layers. Like, representation is a more important, more heavier topic. But also just like for fans to see like something that they know and they like. Again, I still want to see Azrael, and I want to see the breaking of Batman and see that kind of like sociopathic Batman, even though I think Ben Affleck kind of they've done videos on this. I think Ben Affleck is like a serial killer in Dawn of Justice. I think he killed like 85 people or something. So like he's pretty much Azrael. But I think, again, like, it's cool to have different characters, different takes, and different perspectives. And you're not going to love everything, but again, that's the point. It's like the industry of TV or of cinema or of a comic book universe, DC Comics, Image Comics. You don't want to have it based on one thing, because if that takes a turn and you lose a writer, you lose a director, you lose an actor, the whole thing can crumble. You want to have an infrastructure where there's variety for everyone, and it's, everyone can enjoy and discuss. Yeah,
absolutely. No, but I'm super excited. I can't wait. I'm extremely excited for James Gunn and for Safran to have their chance to really kind of build the continuity, the connectivity for these movies going forward. It was funny though, because it's whereas Marvel started off, and I'm going to say this and shut up and we're going to go to Quantumania, but basically, if you think back to the history of Marvel, and I've said this before, Marvel didn't think that they were going to succeed. They were gambling everything on all the remaining properties on the success of Iron Man and Incredible Hulk, and obviously it paid off. We got more build movies. Disney ended up buying them. Then we had the issue with the creative committee, which wanted more stuff and put in, and too many hands in the pot. And of course, Perlmutter just needed to leave, Disney faster. And then of course, the issue with James Gunn, being fired for stuff that he'd already addressed and brought out in the public. And I believe Kevin Feige told, I'm pretty sure as soon as he was fired, Feige was already on the run to get him back, but said basically, just use this to your advantage. And when Warner Brothers offered him, Disney firing him gave him the freedom to be able to do both studios, which was a fantastic thing. And then finally Kevin Feige got to be head and CEO. He's like the final word now, unless Chapek gets involved, and now he's giving the directors more freedom. Whereas the DCU, it was like, oh, you're a writer, these directors just went off and did whatever they did, and we got some gems. We got Wonder Woman, beautiful movie. We got Man of Steel. I love that movie. I actually even liked Aquaman. I appreciate.
Well, Aquaman was a solid movie too. I think another one that was fun and self-contained, and
And I appreciated the Suicide Squad, the first one, especially for those extended scenes, which I still recommend.
We're gonna agree to disagree on this one.
I loved the Suicide Squad.
That one was fun.
I should have known James Gunn was going to be willing to go as far as he did, because this is why we know that we're a little bit safer with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with James Gunn. We know we're going to lose some of our Guardians, but if James Gunn had the freedom that he does at Warner Brothers to do it with Guardians, they'd all be gone, in the most terrible, horrible ways.
Well, the question that I have, and then we should move on, but the question that I have is, with Gunn focusing, is Guardians Volume 3 his last Marvel property for a while? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not sure he wants to come back on for anything else. I think this is going to be that final thing for him. And he said that he's not going to do anything more Guardian. If they continue with Guardians, it's going to be a completely different crew. They may have some of the characters, but I know Bradley Cooper's not wanting to come back. Dave Bautista doesn't want to come back, but part of his reason, since they rehired him, part of his reason was because they fired James Gunn. But then the other one was because they never give Drax a T-shirt or whatever, and he's finding it harder to keep his body up, and so they gave him a shirt in the holiday special. So, and with him being the streamer, the spokesperson for the streamer, for Disney Plus and Hulu, could there be a possibility that we're still going to get? I'm my mind's been going crazy about that stuff. But regardless, there's lots to look forward to. There's lots to also be terrified of because we still have Volume 3 to deal with. But let's go ahead and let's keep up with the James Gunn thing. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. What did you think of the trailer? We didn't get to talk.
Oh yeah. It looks fun. It looks fun. I think notoriously holiday trailers are holiday shows are kind of low on my list of importance. I think I still have kind of nightmares of the Star Wars holiday specials.
It looks like they're going to lean into that though.
Yeah, I mean it'll be fun. It'll be kitschy. Something we'll watch. But is it high on my excitement list? No. I mean I kind of want more Werewolf by Night. After I finally got around to seeing that, and I was like, that was fantastic.
Goodness.
That was a blast. So again,
good.
something different, unique. But it looked good. What did you think?
I'm excited. I love when you get into this and see, since James Gunn, I mean, he's been talking about this for a while. I knew that it was going to be fun. If it was anything like Guardians Inferno, which was the Zardu Hasselfrau song on the album, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the music video with David Hasselhoff and the Sneffers or whatever it's called. It's literally the Guardians team doing an old disco song, and it's
cool.
And the music video was just fun by itself, which means if he could do that, then I would love to see what he does for a holiday special. And the fact that they're going after Kevin Bacon and everything else, it looks fun. I'm into it. we can say we did it, and then we're done if it doesn't go well. So we're
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it.
right.
I'm gonna watch it.
Right.
Like-
But speaking of Werewolf by Night, just to let everybody know, Monday night at 11:35, we are going to be watching Werewolf by Night on StreamLounge.io. A number of us, I know Marvelous Johnny's going to be there, so you guys are more than welcome to join us. And we've got some fun stuff happening in November on Stream Lounge. More info to come for that. So we're definitely excited about that. Now, also, we got a trailer before we got the trailer for the holiday special for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, you and I were able to do a sit down and react, and we spent over 30 minutes talking about a 3-minute trailer. And
we could spend 30 hours on it too.
I know. But we want everybody to go back and watch that, which that is on our YouTube, and I think it's also on Twitch. It's also on my Twitch and my YouTube, so you guys can look at it all of those places. And it should be on our Facebook.
Patch it on my back. I mean,
What's that?
It's everywhere. You can watch it.
You know what?
On my back.
I'm sorry. This has got to come off. I can't take it any longer.
Take it off.
I can't take it. It's like, oh my word.
You still look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I try.
So Ant-Man.
Yes.
First of all, okay, let's dive into this. One, I want to open up with this because I thought this was brilliant. So Shooby Doober, you pointed me on to this, did a breakdown, and I think a lot of people have done breakdowns, but breakdown of the different posters from the 3 Ant-Man movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 are just Ant-Man with a white space, and then there's Ant-Man and the Wasp with a white space, and then now we have these tiny, like I'm trying to pretend like I'm whatever, like Kang is holding, Ant-Man, Wasp. Now, the way he described it again, like this is the beauty and when social media can be fantastic and you can learn from other people. And I know I sound like a kindergarten teacher or whatever, but like this is the beauty of that. Like the way he described it was fascinating. Like, obviously Kang is a bigger than life threat. And so that's why if you think about the villains in Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp, they're not really like earth shattering, right? As outside of the Ant-Man and Wasp universe. So Kang being so prominent in that poster means so much. And we saw Kang in all his friggin' glory. And I mean, I slowed down that him coming at you. I think I slowed it down like 100 times. Man, I don't think I've been this excited for an Ant-Man movie ever. I mean, obviously we were surprised. I think pleasantly surprised with the first Ant-Man. The second one I was excited for, but I just, it's Paul Rudd, it's goofy, it's funny. Like it was a blast the first time. I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. It wasn't as good as the first one, but man, this one raises the stakes. And they really are, much like Iron Man in 2008. They are investing the future of the Phase and Marvel into like a smaller niche character, because this is where Kang's, going to start off his journey. Aside from He Who Remains and Loki, season 1 and all these things like that. But we're really going to see Kang kind of become the villain that he's going to end up being for a while in this movie. So, man,
and that's the thing. Like any could a certain person meet their end? Very possibly. But even if Kang dies in this film, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, he never dies.
Kang never really dies. And you got to remember, He Who Remains mentioned that there were many versions of him. And supposedly He Who Remains was the least worst version.
Yeah. I didn't even think about this when we were going over the trailer, but what if it ends, to your point, I never saw him dying in this movie because I figured, but you're right, like, I mean, you can't imagine it's going to go the way that you would think because Marvel's always going to throw a curveball at you. What if it ends with, like, maybe one of them killing him and his last words to them before the screen goes black is "see you soon," and it's like, wait, what? Like I'm dying in properties and he keeps saying "see you soon," and that's like
I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen. Like, imagine we are getting so much. So we've got this Quantumania. We've got what Guardians of the Galaxy. There are so many like future upcoming properties. where Kang could appear and be a problem. And then, like Loki season 2, see you soon. Like it just never ends. It's just constantly happening. So, yeah, there's so many theories you can have with this movie. It's a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. You know, do I want to see my man Scott get next? No, not at all. I would like for him to stick around, but
Do you think he's gonna die? I don't think he's gonna die. Or do you?
we're gonna at least see him die. Listen, you saw the running scene where like there was even one of him unraveling. Like I do believe we're gonna see a number of him die, like throughout the multiverse, or like I could imagine Kang would make him watch himself die.
Wow.
Like, but I feel like Scott might have that PTSD. Like maybe Scott would be the catalyst person, kind of like Tony Stark was for after Avengers, where he was driven by, the portal in the sky to do whatever he possibly could to save everybody.
Yeah.
So it's highly possible.
I do think we're gonna lose.
Look at those.
I think we're gonna lose some of the extra characters, right? Like, it's not some, a lot. And so I think I could see the Wasp and Ant-Man possibly surviving, but everyone else. His daughter is kind of the future of that. Right?
Yeah, especially if she's driven by the death of her dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Possible. Yeah, you're right.
This week we also had the world premiere of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. With that, we also saw some additional features and things, making it look even more exciting. My favorite has to be the trash talk between Riri and Okoye in her dorm room, or her apartment, or whatever that is. I'm pretty sure it's her dorm room. Now, what's funny is like I've talked a little bit about being excited about it. I have been consciously not making videos about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, because there's been a couple things that have been going out, and I'll say my piece here and then be done with it. With the world premiere, there was a lot of people of color that should have been there that weren't. People that have worked with Black Panther properties, people that have been faithful in commentating and giving great information and hyping this movie up to this point. And some of them got last minute invites, some of them never heard back, some of them got a consolation of at least seeing a press screening. One of the things that's always disheartening is when you represent a group of people with a property, something as important as something like Black Panther, and then you don't give those people, especially not only just people of color, but women of color. And so one of the things that I've been trying to do on social media, and I highly recommend this to any other content creators, if you hear these words, please think about this. I will do like a reaction video, and I will do some things later on about like Easter eggs and stuff, but I'm going to remain relatively quiet. And as I see content creators that are of color that are making great content, I'm going to repost their videos and give them the platform. Because a lot of times people that should be having a voice in certain things like this movie, they're the ones that have the hardest time getting their voices heard because we don't respect people the way we should. So that's just my 10 cents on it. But
no, I mean, that's fair. That's it's important. I think I saw that. I will say, and we shouldn't have to dance around the issue. I think I saw someone posted it was kind of like a preview teaser photo of the premiere, and look, there was a white guy on there who was going to host, and I don't even know who. I actually don't know who that is. I guess a lot of people do. It's fine.
I didn't know who he was either. It wasn't until I saw Jay Phrygian that actually like made me aware.
Yeah, I think he posted it. That's just weird to me. I think. Yeah, again, for me, I think you should have someone, like you said, a person of color who is involved in the genre. I think you're probably talking about another mutual who wrote Blurred Girl, or no?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she had written
the writer
a book.
of this book.
Yeah, written a book about the extended universe of Wakanda, and a really interesting about the Dora Milaje and background behind that. And then she she posted a video that she didn't get an invite. I mean, it's just kind of stuff that
Thankfully,
makes
she
your
did
head
get into
spin.
a press screening though. But
Okay.
I mean, that's like a really cheap consolation prize. I'll be honest with you. Like
I just yeah. I mean, it just seems odd. I mean, I'm not. It just seems odd, right? Like
Yeah.
it seems like odd behavior to me. And so it just seems like I don't know. Just think. That's all I can say. I mean, it's weird. Like it's that like low hanging fruit to me. Like, just think.
Yeah.
Like, and it's weird. Like it's weird because when I saw Black Panther in the theaters for the first time, I saw it as part of the Ben at ESPN, which is connected to obviously ABC, is owned by Disney. When I was working for ABC, and the majority of the people in there were people of color, and it was an amazing experience because obviously I didn't know going in that it was going to be the revelatory movie it was. I knew it would be a good movie, but when we came out of there, we're like, whoa. But during the process, you saw the excitement and the joy, which just opens your eyes to things of people who were seeing someone, like them represented on screen. So
I listen, I will every so often whenever something makes me really excited, whether it's on Discord or on Teams or something, it's always funny because whenever I put excited, you see those kids at that charter school that were told that they were going to go see Black Panther for free, and like they're up on the desk dancing, and like that is the pure essence of joy, and I always love that because it's been made.
Well, did we talk about? I think I interviewed those kids, the ones from New York, right? That were part of that fund last year. Yeah, and I went and spoke to them, and they were great. I had like them posing. They were in the Bronx. So I went up there and was able to speak to some of those kids and their teachers, and it was fantastic. I also think you look at someone like a Mexican actor like I'm not gonna say his. Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to thank you for saving me from butchering his name. But one of my favorite things from the premiere of seeing clips, he seems like a delightful. People love him, and I guess I don't know his work prior to this, but like every video we posted on YouTube and other platforms, people have like been like, "That's our Namor," and I think I'm pronouncing it wrong now too. It's Namor. And I love seeing that because people are so excited, and it's not toxic comments you're getting. It's people being excited. He also seems like an absolutely fantastic human being. Every time I see him, he's stopping. He was talking to fans about the cosplay that was there, and you love to see that. That's good. That's RDJ bread and butter. People playing up the role.
And then Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler is just royalty when you see how he is. Like I love the video of Straw Hat and him engaging, just the heartfelt like interaction between the two of them. You see him on there. He had the dog tag with Chadwick Boseman on there. Like you see things like that. Like I mean,
and the pose from and the pose in the outfit from Letitia Wright. Like,
but then
another Shooby Doober video.
And
that,
a lot of people don't realize like. It's important that those bits of representation, because it's like, oh, well, racism doesn't exist, all these other things. Ryan Coogler had the police called on him by the bank he was pulling petty cash out because he was a black man at a bank pulling out like over $10,000. So he had to have been doing something wrong. That was the mentality. And this bank in Georgia got called out because they called police on the director of Black Panther. And it's like why do we live in this world where if that kind of stuff can still happen, then we need to make a point. We need to let people realize that they have a safe space to speak their mind. Safe space. Like, this is what we do. But it's so important that we make sure that we give those voices, and I feel good for finally be able to talk about what I've thought, because I've been wanting to do it online, but I don't want to do that. And it's you'll probably hear from me for a while. I will do a review and I'll talk about it. And I know we'll touch about it on here. But again, it's all about giving other people voices and giving them the platform. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where I think people hear my voice more because they don't know my last name, and I'm white presenting. So, unfortunately it's easier for me. And then it's also easier for people because of the gender that they are. And so it's always more important to give those voices that need to be heard the platform to do so.
Especially when it's mirroring in the movie too, right? Like I think that's why for me it feels weird, right? That's why it's confusing. You have Ryan Coogler behind the scenes. Like I'm just surprised that this is. I'm sure he's not on board with that, but I'm surprised that I have no words. I'm just curious, like why is this? Why? And again, that's why it's very confusing to me. Is the best way to describe it. Just confusing and shaking your head.
I really feel like it, and again, this is not speaking from experience, but I know from businesses, sometimes people who let the logistics of events go are the ones that are like the least apt to know what's, acceptable or not. People are just looking at names on a paper, and they don't understand that there's a little bit more that needs to be considered with that. I mean,
that's a good point. There needs to be more, I think. Again, we live in we're in a weird culture shift right now, right? Culture shift not only voice-wise, but also culture shift in the way that like we're in a weird period with like COVID and this shifting of like people and classes but also like working and not. I think there just needs to be more care put to. We talked about this last show with NYCC. There wasn't enough like security and people like that's just care for the fans that are there, and there needs to be put more care and more diligence and more effort put to make sure the experience and the right people are in the right place and representation happens, and especially when it should mirror the movie. Again, we talked about the potential Marvel. I'm not just going to crush Marvel and it's going to not be a great thing, but again, these are just not smart moves as far as it's not smart. That's all we can say about it. But
well, I guess the moral of the story, and I guess what we can wrap up with is just, be a decent human being. Show people respect where they deserve respect, and every voice needs to be heard. Everybody needs to have a chance to do so. Now this
except one. there is one thing. If we're wrapping up, there is one thing that since we're on that topic, though, I will say and I didn't plan on saying this or whatever, but since we were talking about it, and this is all I'll say of it, as someone who is Jewish, I will say, look, the whole Kanye West Yeezy thing.
Oh yeah.
I do think it's the other end of the spectrum. I am somewhat happy with how fast and what these companies are doing after what the craziness that's there, and I think this is why we exist and why we're here and the essence of what we want to do. And I don't want to say something like censorship is good. That comes with a lot of baggage. But I think people need to understand and need to realize, like, I want people to be kind to each other that are on there. I went through, and for those who don't know, I mean, everyone I think at this point knows the whole. I'll call him whatever he wants to. It's Ye now, but formerly known as Kanye West. The anti-Semitic comments, the essentially death threats on. But you have to understand your platform and what the power you have with a voice of his. And I also, at the same time, I do hope he gets the help he deserves, because he's not mentally stable, and I don't mean this in a funny way. Like he needs help, and I hope he gets the help he deserves from a human perspective. But also, it's irresponsible. And we've seen it before with all these incidents that happen for people that speak out, and there's all these platforms out there where there's violence discussed, and it happens in real life, and it usually happens to people of color, but it also happens to people of all kinds. And I think that this needs to stop, and this is why we exist. And I think seeing what's happened is good as far as the company shutting him down. But I went down a thread. It was someone had talked about something with like the sneakers and being like, keep your Yeezys because they're valuable and whatever, and all this stuff. And if you go down the thread, and full disclosure, I own Yeezys, clearly. I own a lot of sneakers. But the back and forth between people was just disgusting on Twitter. Like, and I mean not about Ye or about anyone else, just talking to each other and being like, I'm burning my pears, and just so polarizing on both ends. And then someone being like, you're an idiot and expletive and this and that, and just going back and forth. And it's like, that needs to not exist, because that is just the most toxic garbage. And if you can't have a constructive debate about something and hear someone's side and being like, oh, well, you can disagree with people. That's completely okay. But I went through that thread and I was like, whoa, like, and you know, I try to stay off those things, but instantly reminded of why we are here and why Nerd Initiative is around and why we, you know, and so.
Yeah, absolutely.
People just need to be nice to each other and listen to each other, but also agree that when people go out there and say crazy things and say hurtful and insightful things, it's not good and it's not helping anyone. And so I am good to see, like, kind of shut out, and even some of his former friends and stuff speaking out against him and being like, this is crazy. And again, much like anything else, it's not as prevalent, but much like racism, you know, hate of all kinds and all people is an issue, and that needs to stop.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I feel like, and this is all I'm going to say about it is, there may be freedom of speech, but there is not freedom of consequence. You can say whatever you want, but you will pay a price for it. My son is 7 years old, and he understands that actions bring consequences. Good actions bring good consequences, which are, you know, blessings or whatever you want to call them. And bad actions are going to bring bad consequences. There is always an action. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And so, you know, for people to not think, it's like that you cause a problem in a store and you yell and spout racial things and racial slurs, you are going to be trespassed. That is their right to do that, because you can say whatever you want, but they can choose for you not to do it in their store. You know, and so, you know, I feel like the brazenness that he was when he said, what are they going to do? You know, I can say all of this stuff and they're not going to drop me. At that point, they had to do it as fast as they could. But unfortunately, they were dragging their feet until that point. And so I feel like these corporations need to hold, you know, hold to the responsibility. We have seen people from Star Wars properties and from sitcom TV shows that have come out and said things, or even like Food Network places, that their words catch up to them. And whether they had, you know, they were misguided or whatnot, you do it, you are going to have consequence. And I think that's the moral of the story. Now, with that said, and this is not Fandoms related, and I want to end it on this, November 8th is a very important time in the United States. And if you live in the United States, you need to make sure that you do this. Go vote. If you cannot complain about what goes on in this country unless you go out and you do your part and you vote and you make your voice heard. At that point, after you've voted, if something doesn't go right, then you can complain. But you only have yourself to blame if you don't feel like the country is going the direction it needs to and you don't vote. And especially young people, you need to go out and go to the polls. Find somebody that you trust, that you agree with, that if you need help for guidance or whatnot. I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to talk about it on social media, but I will say this. No. You need to go vote. You need your opinion heard. Do not let this country's outcome be based off of somebody else. Do your part.
Yeah, agree. Couldn't agree more.
All right. Anything else you want to say before we go, Michael?
No. I think we covered a lot of heavy topics for a change. It was good.
I know, it's weird. You dress up. Yeah. You dress up all weird, and then you get
all goofy, and then we acted all.
Listen, I am feeling weird having my chest exposed, so I need to get like changed.
It looks fantastic. No.
This I have not worn this costume since 2006. So like it's gonna go back in the archives and we'll see what happens.
I will say it's been a year since I've worn this. This is getting super itchy. I think I washed this when I wore this last year.
Oh man! And if you did not see the videos of Michael in that suit last year, with the grayed out sides of his hair, and the mustache and the cigar, doing the whole J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man 2, it was glorious. In fact,
it was also glorious the fact that I fit into it a lot better last year than I do now. So,
but I will tell you this, like, that is still the contact picture on my phone for you.
That's
It will never not be. Like,
That's awesome.
Unless you do something that's even more outrageous than that, that will always be your contact.
Well, now you've raised the bar. I'm gonna have to do something outrageous.
Or is it lowering? I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, maybe it's lowering.
All right. Well, you all have a wonderful evening. Enjoy your spooky season. We'll catch you back 2 weeks from now. Yeah, I've been Tony, and this is Michael. And have a good night.